Hello and welcome everybody back once again to the Init Esports Team America broadcast, and we are back here today for a special one. It is the Red Bull Ring, and you thought Red Bull Ring was a short track. Well, today it is even shorter. We are headed over to the national layout for some tight action. Now, before we get into this here tonight, I am going to be your host. I'm Mike Noss, and joined alongside me is none other than the Sagar Bakshi. Sagar, Red Bull Ring, national layout in the GT4s. This is going to be a very, very exciting and potentially an unpredictable one.
Yeah, it is. The Red Bull Ring is a circuit that's known for its tricky conditions and often its uphill braking zone at turn 3 of Remus. We don't have that this time. We have a little interesting hairpin that loops you back around into Worth. I've actually never seen a race here before, but I'm excited to see how the GT4s fare here for the first time.
Yeah, we drove this not too long ago in the previous Wednesday in our Just for Fun series that we have, our midweek double dash that we have in the Discord. On top of that, of course, here, let's talk a little bit about some events that we have here at Init Esports. This is our calendar. Starting us off, of course, the Team America. That's what you're watching right now. It is, in fact, March 1st, and it is on the Red Bull Ring for the GT4s. Up next, we have our Screen to Speed series, which is going to be over at Okayama in the BMW M2s. And then after that, again, Team America. We have a rotating with halfway through the month and the beginning of each month for the first Sundays. Spa in the F4s up next. That is going to be an absolute slipstream fest. I cannot wait to see how that plays out. And then after that one's going to be my personal favorite of the entire calendar, over to Interlagos for the LMP2s. I cannot wait for that. And of course, our all-women series as well with Screen to Speed. Going to be exciting as always. Tsukuba in the GR86s is a solid combo, but Okayama in the M2s, it's going to be a slippery one. It's going to be difficult, and I cannot wait to see how it plays out on the 15th of this month. And speaking of that, welcome to March, everybody. Also, welcome to all of the fine folks at home watching, whether you're watching here on Twitch, YouTube, or of course our new partners over at Esports Edge on Roku. Yes, indeed, we're on TV. Hello, mother. We are watching, or we are live over on Roku, as well as, of course, eClutch in the MENA region. We thank everybody that is a part of this, and also, of course, mention our sponsors that we have making this possible. Regadget, you can see a little Regadget guy as he was running back and forth. That's Gadget, in case you haven't met him yet. But what exactly is Regadget? Well, just to be short about it, the mission statement is to be able to shorten the digital divide between haves and have-nots. So giving access to computers who maybe, or people that maybe wouldn't have access normally. So be it in libraries, be it in schools, and various other forms, they transform old technology and make it new, taking old PCs and turning them into new ones. And you can send them your PC as well. They'll pay for the shipping and everything, and that way it doesn't go to a landfill and waste. It is awesome. Also, of course, a massive thank you to AK Esports UK, our production team behind the scenes, and Tom Bryant, who is making all of these fancy camera changes that you see happening today. But now, back to the action that we have. Of course, let's get into tonight, Sauger. We have the Red Bull Ring in the national layout for the GT4s. We have two 20-minute sprint races. Overtaking is going to be a luxury. In fact, it's going to be very difficult. Turn 1 may be the only opportunity you can make it work in certain parts, Sauger, but this is going to be an exciting and, more importantly, a very, very important qualifying.
Yes, track position is going to mean a lot for the drivers for the first heat of this race. Coming down the back straight, being jettisoned out of the Red Bull Mobile, down to Niki Lauda curve is going to be the prime opportunity to make an overtake, because you have that long straightaway. Drafting and slipstream is going to be a huge advantage for the driver behind.
It certainly will be, and then just trying to find an opportunity, maybe a dive bomb, maybe a late send, or maybe just waiting and biding an opportunity until your opponent makes a mistake. Now that's going to be wishful thinking, considering some of these drivers on the grid, your Jordan Johnsons, your Roman Lees, Eric Halsbands, Andrew Herschels, and whatnot, and many other names out there that are to be mentioned. We have our friends from Camber and Castor joining us as well, Jesse Laverin, as well as Lewis Holloway, and a few others from down there. A big welcome to everybody that is joining us here today, and a special thank you, of course, to all of the drivers that make these events possible, and I cannot wait to see how this plays out. Now, Sauger, we talked about this a little bit before the broadcast, but we expected coming into tonight the AMG GT4 to be the dominant car, the most picked, but as we're currently seeing, a lot of diversity on the grid, a lot of German diversity, to be fair, but the Porsche currently on the top of the time charts.
But that Porsche is in the hands of someone with a tremendous amount of skills, so take that with a slight grain of salt, as Jordan Johnson, the alien he is, could pretty much take a wooden shoebox and make it fast around the Red Bull Ring. Don't you think, Mike?
I certainly agree, but let's not count out Roman Lee, as he had an absolute spectacular drive in the previous race. He went pretty much from rags to riches by the end of it, fighting his way through. He had a great qualifying result, got taken out very early in race 1, but the only trend was up, and he managed to finish on the podium at the end of race 2. A very, very impressive drive, and certainly one that did not go unnoticed. A few drivers that unfortunately were not able to make it here, Cale Davidson as well as Fryman, two heavy competitors in this one. We certainly are excited to see them back in the future ones, but some new names joining us as well, and we love to see that. Welcoming, of course, everybody. If you would like to get involved here at the Team America, you can click the link down in the description, or alternatively, you can scan that fancy QR code that is going to be on your screen here just in a second. That is where you can find your way over to joining Team America. And on top of that, all of our other events that we have going on here at Init Esports. For those that aren't able to scan that, it is initesports.gg/carsim. That's where you can find us and find all of our signups, not just for Team America, but also for our new Init team. Now though, Sauger, let's get into this one here tonight and talk us through a little bit of a lap here at the Red Bull Ring National.
Now, coming up towards turn 1, you want to get as far over to the left-hand side as you possibly can to maximize your turning in radius for the Niki Lauda curve. And then on exit, you can kiss that sausage just a little bit on the exit. Now, this is a very tricky hairpin, one of the few heavy braking zones that we're going to get into. Double apex through the U. Then you switch it back entrance to Worth, we're back to the normal circuit now, and then you come up through this section of corners where it's just really fast and flowy. You're going to be on the loud pedal for most of this track. Now a slight tap of the brakes as you chuck it into Rent, and then it's set up for the Red Bull Mobile. Now you want to set it up the same way, maximize your entry, maximize your exit all the way out to the painted green stuff, and Jordan Johnson's going to put it in and give us a lap time that'll be indicative of what the drivers are capable of tonight. It'll be 53.1 for him.
Less than a minute around this circuit. That's nearly Formula One times on the normal track, by the way. This is normally the smallest calendar, or the smallest circuit on the Formula One calendar, yet we have, again, made it even smaller today. The Porsche at the top, Roman Lee falling in second right now, with Eric Halsband joining in third. Fourth place currently to Orestes down in the McLaren. So breaking up a little bit of the German manufacturers that we're seeing up at the top right now, with nothing but Porsches, nothing but AMGs, and their occasional BMW. The Fords not quite having as good of a time, it seems. Now, one thing we haven't talked about too much, Sauger, is the off tracks. We had, again, a race here for the just for our Wednesday fun series, and I think I ended up with over 20 off tracks by the end of a 15-minute race. So certainly now these drivers being a little more talented than me, expect to see less, but when it comes to qualifying, pushing the limits and getting every single inch of circuit that you can, we're going to see some invalidations.
Yeah, it's just going to be nature for the course right now. I mean, look at where the drivers are at. I mean, it's the Red Bull Ring. They don't have the gravel traps there at the exit of the Red Bull Mobile and Rent just yet. And we're seeing a little side-by-side action right now as the Porsche of Jordan Johnson comes through right now. And finding track position is going to be important, but finding a dance partner to show you what the draft can feel like here is also very important, Mike. And how much of a factor do you think that's going to play in some of these drivers' thought process as we go into the first heat?
It's going to be difficult. I mean, one thing we're seeing here is a lot of slipstream help, but just look at that. A car joining the circuit immediately, that can throw your entire plan into a haywire quickly. This is a bit of a train forming, and it's difficult when you have this small of a circuit and you have nearly 20-plus drivers all trying to share the same bit. One little mistake like this is going to cost other drivers some lap time. So Jordan Johnson, thankfully, able to avoid that and able to keep it flat simultaneously. But you can see just how much on a knife's edge you can be, and one little mess up from someone else, that could be your lap done and dusted.
It only takes one tiny mistake, one small off track for you to breach the track limits violation here at the Red Bull Ring. So we're going to talk about it quite a bit, but the other thing we need to talk about, the elephant in the room now, is Roman Lee. So like you said, he had a good recovery drive the last time we were out. Now this time he has a good potential start, only a 10th back from Jordan Johnson. Now with a good start, does that mean you'll necessarily have a good finish too, Mike?
Well, as Roman Lee proved in race one, no, not necessarily. I think he ended up qualifying on pole position, or at least, he was on pole position for a solid majority. I think he qualified second in the actual race itself, got bumped early on, and then ended up with a, I think, 15th or 13th place finish after race one, then through the field ended up climbing up to third in race two. So yes, in short, but no in the long answer for Roman Lee. He managed to make it work for him, but no, I wouldn't recommend it. I think he would like to keep that second for as long as possible, but he would like to improve that. 2/10 though, nearly a blink of an eye separating our top two. Alvarez a little bit further back, and Eric Halsband struggling to get into that little margin as well, but the gaps are tight. Our top 7 separated by less than a second, and really not too far behind is the rest of the field.
Short track, short margins, our top 8 within a second of each other, and then Winnie Workman in the number 15 is going to be 1.1 seconds back. Jesse Laverin exchanging positions with Eric Halsband for 5th and 6th. Now over to Jason Jones, the number 73, BMW driver. Best lap currently is a 54.5. Can they improve to get into 53 territory? It'll only be a matter of time before the barrier is broken down, and it only takes one little click of something for the drivers to figure out how to get that last half a second out of their cars.
How do you find half a second in this train, though? I mean, you have to be, ideally, the quickest driver leads, the second quickest driver behind, so on and so forth. But look at that when you have Herrera just making the slightest little mistake, and that's going to cost a flashy the headlights from behind, now costing havoc for whoever that is in the AMG. They are not too happy with being blocked like that, and unfortunately, that's the way open qualifyings go out here, and especially, again, on such a tiny little circuit. The drivers just got to find the slightest little bits of margin, and look at that, Jordan Johnson, he did find the slightest bits of margin, improving, yes, improving, but nearly, what is that, 10 thousandths of a second he's managed to go up? Hey, every 10,000th matters.
It does here at such a tight track with such tight margins. Every thousandth of a second will matter no matter what. Look at the difference between Roman Lee and Norberto Alvarez Jr. right now. 90 thousandths is the separator between Lee and Alvarez right now. So every tiny margin could mean the difference between starting on the front row and having to struggle and starting in the mid pack as well. We're seeing also tight struggles between Herschel and Laverin, just 30 thousandths there between the two of them. We are seeing a variety of cars in the top three. Top three, all German manufacturers, although they're all different manufacturers. Porsche leads, Mercedes leads the BMW.
Another little battle between Porsche, Mercedes, and BMW that I'm keeping my eye on right now is that top 10 slot. As sort of our, I'm noticing where our oval experts are falling into. Aaron Brown, Brian Toyer, both very apt when it comes to driving in a left-hand circle. Now, this track almost has an oval-esque layout, pretty much only has one left-hand corner to it, but we see Aaron Brown maybe maximizing that here. We can up into 11th position right now. I think there's a bit more time, but we're battling back and forth as we just had, it looks like Sergio finding his way and winning. Workman also in 9th. Brian Toyer, they're trying to find a little bit more, and Morgan Stringer also falling into those positions. So seeing again, I think pretty much all those drivers I just mentioned, I know, drive a little bit of oval racing. So interesting to see how they can manage here in this race tonight.
Boom, there goes Gerson Herrera, the 777 again, looping it around at the Red Bull Mobile and teleports it back to pit lane because he was obviously parked in a dangerous situation there. Heads back out onto the racetrack to try to get another lap in, but we've only got 20 seconds remaining in the qualifying session. There goes Brian Troyer now over to Lee Winters, who comes down pit road, and we shouldn't have any scheduled pit stops for these sprint races here tonight. It's only two 20-minute races, so the drivers should be able to get out, like you were talking about earlier, right around those 23 laps or so.
Yes, but I was still nodding my head in approval, saying, yes, you practice your pit entries. It doesn't matter if you think you're going to have to do it or not. I respect the hustle. Always practice your pit entries. You put lap time and lap time and lap time in. Just go into the pit lane 1 or 2 times, see what it's like. Every pit lane is different and everything has different speeds, so on and so forth. Just go in and get that done. But qualifying over now, and we'll get to see how these drivers stack up against some interesting sort of groupings that we're going to see out there with various skill levels throughout this entire field. Again, topping us off, Jordan Johnson at 9,300 I rating. We have all the way down to the triple digit I rating numbers. Some of the lower down fields, Bryce Jellison, Gerson Herrera that we saw have a little bit of a spin at the end of qualifying. Hopefully they'll be able to get that together here and get some laps out. And again, Team America, I guess I haven't explained that just yet, so let's take a moment to talk exactly what Team America is. We're creating a national roster to compete in any international competitions. That is our mascot as well, and that is where you can sign up for it if you are interested. Scan that QR code on your screen right now. But this is an creating a roster for the international teams to compete in any sim racing events. Team America is not just about one race necessarily, it's about how you can stack up through different cars, tracks, layouts, for example, that we see here today with the Red Bull Ring being a very popular track. Well, how do you shake up on the shorter version of it? How do you shake up in a GT3 car when you're more used to ovals? How do you shake up in the ovals when you're used to GT3s? We don't have any ovals on the calendar right now, but the second half of the year, wink wink, keep an eye out. And this, of course, being the second season of Team America, we're always keeping an eye on the competition, on the talent, to see exactly who is going to fall into that roster and be able to compete on an international level here at Init Esports. You can also find our community as well in the Discord. We have just opened up very recently, and recently announced is now our Init team. So a not necessarily as competitive as the Team America team, but we have, of course, the roster to compete in various, for example, 12 hours of Sebring, 8 hours of Spa, so on and so forth, and you can be a part of our team here. And then on top of that, we have, of course, both our men's and women's lineups. So you can scan the QR code, find a link to head over to our website, and check that out for more information. Now, one more little moment here, Sagar, before we do get to these results and discuss it. We haven't talked too much about the circuit. We've mentioned it briefly, but this is a track that began, of course, as many circuits do. It was an airfield, the Zitvig airfield, back in the 60s, opened up as the Austria Ring. Before then it was changed to the A1 Ring, and then eventually revitalized by Dietrich Masterschitz, of course, the owner of Red Bull, the man who brought it from Thailand into the rest of the globe. And since then, this track has hosted Formula One and many, many other events. It's a difficult circuit. It's got some elevation. In the normal layout, 2.6 miles, 10 corners, 3 to the left and 7 to the right. We don't have that here tonight. But on top of that, 65 meters or 300 feet of elevation. That's a tricky beast to deal with. And with the back and forth nature of this track, it always produces good racing.
It really does. It is just a fast and flowy circuit. Carlos Sainz set the fastest time here at 102.7 in the 2020 McLaren. Now, I wonder what he'd be able to do at the national circuit in one of those machines.
Yeah, I certainly agree. Let's take a look, though, at the times that we had set, though, from our qualifying here. And stacking us up at the top is going to be Jordan Johnson with a 52.6. Roman Lee slotting in 2/10 behind in second position, with Norberto Alvarez Jr. coming up in third. Eric Halsband rounding out your second row in fourth position, with Bronson Turner right behind in fifth. Andrew Herschel coming up in sixth, with Jesse Laverin in seventh. Max Bowman in eighth, with Winnie Workman in ninth. Rounding out your top 10, Sergio Orestes and Aaron Brown in 11th.
Then we have Brian Troyer in 12th, with Morgan Stringer in 13th. Lewis Holloway in 14th, Jason Jones in 15th, Lee Winters in 16th. Following that will be Alan Carter in 17th, with Edward Sanchez in 18th. Bryce Jellison in 19th, and Gerson Herrera round out the 20 drivers participating tonight.
And a packed grid for this circuit. It's going to be a rolling start in these GT4s. Now, Sagar, since we are on TV here tonight, and we maybe have some folks over on the Esports Edge channel that aren't as familiar with racing as they always are, why don't we talk a little bit about these cars, about the track a little more, to give an idea and set the stage for this type of racing that we expect tonight. While a lot of people see Ferraris and Lamborghinis and all sorts of very high-end supercars taking the tracks, that's not necessarily what this is tonight. This is more of a mechanical spec series. And what exactly does that mean? Well, that means that this is going to be more reliant on the suspension more so than all of those little sticky outy bits and winglets and wingettes and wing whatevers that are on those GT3 cars that cause the downforce that is going to make them stick to the track with the pressure of the air. These cars not able to get through the air as fast as the GT3s, not able to go through the corners as quickly either, and that's a result again of that mechanical grip, the suspension being more important. You push these cars too hard, you're basically just going to go in a straight line and slide off the track.
Yeah, these are cars that are mechanically inclined, that's for sure. So what does that mean, as you kind of just described? Well, these aren't going to be Formula One cars. These aren't open wheel cars. These aren't drivers that are going to go you know, they are going to go toe to toe. They are going to be able to rub up against each other because they have just typical aero packages that you'd see on a normal road going car. That's kind of the definition of GT4 cars, that you have to have a certain number of them in production at any given time as a road variant version. So we're going to see a few of these cars maybe out in your local supermarket one day.
And certainly not the supermarket that I'm going to, Sagar, but hey, you never know where you're at. Let's see this jam-packed grid with the lovely camera shots, again provided by AK Esports UK. Tom Bryant behind the cameras here as we get ready to grid up. Jordan Johnson leading Roman Lee, but currently the BMW M2 CS, which you're going to see in screen to speed, wink wink, in a couple weeks. That is going to be leading the field for right now. Jordan Johnson shortly will be taking that prize and heading on to this green light. As we go through the final corner here, we get ready to begin event 2 of the Team America Talent Scout, and we go green, green, green here. Jordan Johnson, single file, everybody pretty much at the start. Roman Lee slotting the second, Noberto in third. Battles in the background, though, as they go toe-to-toe with Jesse Laverin battling Aaron Brown. Winnie Workman also getting a little bit of ground here, potentially. Let's see as he goes late onto the brakes. Defending his position, actually, is Winnie Workman, trying not to move backwards, but with the camber and caster car of Sergio all over his back bumper, Sagar. This is going to be a tough one to hold on to.
It really will be, but it was clean running for all the drivers coming down through a very tricky braking zone of Niki Lauda curve. And now the drivers are using all of the track that they've bought and paid for here tonight, coming through Rent and the Red Bull Mobile for the first time of asking. And we're just 55 seconds into this 20-minute heat, and we're already going 2 by 2 down to the Red Bull Mobile. Mike.
Yeah, we also saw a little bit of action up in the field with Aaron Brown, but here into the first corner, this is the prime position for an overtake if you are Edward Sanchez, and on the inside, and he does manage to make that move stick. Unfortunately for Edward, he's managed to go nowhere. There's Bronson Turner there going in the negative directions, unfortunately. A bit of a spin. The AMG, the problem with this car, that's what I was driving when we were out there, is the cold tires. The first few laps, you have to be so extremely delicate, and there's a weight transfer as well. We'll see here. I'm going to imagine this is what caused it. I haven't seen the replay yet, but here into this right-hand corner, and as we're making the left, it hasn't even gotten to that point yet, but just in that off-camber nature, the car gets so extremely light. The back end overtakes the front, and unfortunately, I made a fool of myself a few times making that exact same move, and the results are 4 positions lost for Bronson Turner.
A little look from the McLaren, but a better look from the Aston now as it's able to get by its counterpart there. That's Gerson Herrera, who started at the back of the pack, found their way up into 15th position, and there is a big spill out there. And whom was that involved? Was that Bronson Turner again, Mike?
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like it was. Now side by side with another AMG. Got to get it sorted here quickly. You do not want to go 2 by 2 into the final corner. We do see a back out there from Edgar Sanchez. Unfortunately for him, he would have liked to go more. This is the replay that we're going to see as well, and through the same corner, I'm guessing this is going to be a carbon copy mistake. We see as well he has a McLaren ahead of him. Actually, no, he's going for an overtake. Gets to that inside line and makes contact at the apex. In the background, a separate incident with the camber and caster machine, actually. So that was a Orestes. That is a completely separate incident that we saw, as that was a carbon copy mistake. But the battling, a little bit of a bridge too far, unfortunately, for the AMG, as it stuck its nose in. Wasn't able to make it stick, but you gotta respect the grind, because it's so difficult to make moves here, unless your name is the man on screen here, Sagar, Aaron Brown.
And here's a replay of what happened to Orestes here, coming down in towards the hairpin, and it was just a solo spin that led into the tire barrier, and a beautiful pirouette back in the right direction. But that car is definitely going to have some suspension damages. Here comes the 18 on the 51 through the Niki Lauda curve, and that was a clean move.
Aaron Brown maybe didn't have the best qualifying, but he clearly did not need it. That's 6 positions gained so far, and we're only 4 minutes into this race. Looking a little further back, this is our other resident oval expert that we were talking about. Unfortunately, moving in the opposite direction, the less than pointy end of the spear. He's lost 3 positions so far as Bronson Turner manages to get by, making ground up himself. Bronson down 9 positions currently. 8 positions gained, though, for this man as well. The 777, Gerson Herrera, who's had some opportunistic moves with just gaining positions for free, but all in all, made some solid ones as well. As in the background, we see Bronson Turner and Lee Winters fighting it out. Seems like every corner on this track, there's action, Sauger.
Absolutely, and a lot of that action is being brought up from Bronson Turner right now in this recovery drive of his. He's down 8 positions on the good in 13th position, but now he is already gaining up ground. He's made up 4 in the last 4 laps. Can this man be stopped? Here comes Brian Schroyer now, and Edward Sanchez through now, and it's looking good for the drivers in front of Brian Schroyer, actually.
Yeah, it is, unfortunately for Brian. Me and him, we were racing each other quite hard. We managed to both of us get the hang of it by the second Wednesday double dash that we did. But unfortunately for Brian, it seems like just the consistency not quite there for him. The lap times are good when they're good, but he's made a few mistakes, and I think that's sort of what cost him. This, though, is the 17 Mustang that we're going to be taking a look at, piloted by Alan Carter, as he heads into the second corner himself. And again, another carbon copy mistake. You make that right turn, the back end feels like it's so light, and unfortunately, it just goes and overtakes the front. You also might notice there's a bunch of yellow flags that you see on the left. Those are not necessarily spins, those are off tracks, and we mentioned this in qualifying, but we're going to be seeing quite a few of them throughout this race. The track limits are tight, and the grass, you can see, never far away, as a little bit of a look from Jones, but is he going to make it stick?
Jones here on the outside line coming through the final sector. Will he be able to make this work around the outside? It's the long way to go, but Jason Jones in that 73 BMW finds the gap. But you know who doesn't find the gap is whoever's in that AMG behind. That's Edward Sanchez in the number 260 coming through the Red Bull Mobile. Just couldn't find the daylight there and collided with another car.
Jones almost did the exact same thing. In fact, I thought Jones was going to. We saw the back end get loose through that second penultimate corner. We'll notice it maybe in the replay here, but keep an eye on that BMW ahead as it has a slight moment after catching the grass, but that is not going to be a mistake made well by himself. That is a helped round, unfortunately, there. So that will be looked at, I'm sure, after this race. A little bit of a ambitious move from the car behind, and Edgar Sanchez, unfortunately for him, drops a position.
And Bronson Turner keeps on finding positions, now down 7, but in front of Gerson Herrera was the next victim, and he's finding a way forward. Now looking at Max Baumann in the number 89, who's got Herschel in front in the AMG in 6th place. Aaron Brown just a little bit further ahead, driving that BMW in 5th place, trying to find the gap between himself and Eric Hausband, the 255.
Yeah, and we're also noticing Eric Hausband here as he's going to be catching up with Alvarez. They're not really gaining on Roman Lee, and Roman Lee not really gaining on Jordan Johnson. 52.7 from Jordan Johnson, 53.0 for Roman Lee. Great pace all the way around. 53.2s all the way around here. So Eric Hausband clearly wanting to unleash a little more pace. In fact, that's Aaron Brown that we see getting re-overtaken by Andrew Herschel. He had a slowdown penalty coming around the final corner, and that is painful to have to let your rival go like that. Aaron's done such a good job to this point, making up positions. Now look at this. He's in a bit of a sandwich. Do you look forward to Andrew Herschel, or do you look backwards to Max Baumann? You can't look in both directions at the same time.
No, you can't. You can't look forwards and backwards. You can't defend and attack. If you pick one, you're going to leave yourself vulnerable to the other. That's for sure. And a little bit of track limits variance there, and that resulted in that slowdown penalty coming through the final sector. We've talked about it many times about how punishing the track limits are here, and they are punishing the drivers, and you have to get that slowdown penalty done within a certain amount of time. Otherwise, it'll turn into a bigger penalty or even disqualify you from the session. And sometimes you can even get a slowdown penalty coming through turn one even, but we haven't seen a lot of drivers really go that deep and wide even during the race start. It was very clean and tidy, as we saw.
Yeah, and also staying off that sausage curve. If you get a little too aggressive on it, that can also be a track cut. So there's double-edged sword for the first corner to avoid, and most drivers doing a good job of that here. Let's see how this plans out. I would imagine at this point some of the drivers are going to take it a bit more passive. Your Aaron Browns, for example, maybe not going to be making a move onto Herschel at this time, feeling him out, seeing where the mistakes are and where you can capitalize to go for it. Aaron's made, I think, every move in the first corner, so I'd imagine that's where he's planning on making it stick. It is the best opportunity out of all the corners. But with this slipstream, he's got a long ways to go here. Andrew Herschel doing a solid job of defense. Both Andrew Herschel, by the way, and Eric Halsband, oh, hold that thought. Aaron Brown thinking about an opportunity, but no, not on this occasion. But both Eric and Andrew are from FaZe. They're on the same team. Also, Russell Soto, who unfortunately could not join us in this race. He is also going to be in FaZe. That green livery. Well, actually, no. That's Aaron Brown with the green livery. But they have a green and yellow color scheme for the FaZe boys. On top of that, Brian Troyer, I just saw have a little bit of a mistake. He's tumbled down the order, so hopefully he can manage back some pace. But this little heat here, Aaron Brown's looking a little aggressive at this moment. Is he going to do it into the first corner that forces the defense from Andrew Herschel? He takes the inside line. That should be the favored one coming into it. Aaron Brown going for the switchback, nearly clatters into the back bumper, but this allows him to get the inside for the next corner. Now it's going to be a double apex, though. Gets fully alongside, late on the brakes, and Aaron Brown take a bow, muscling his way on by.
That was just a beautiful textbook overtake, getting it set up at turn one, forcing the issue there. So what you're doing is you're forcing the opponent to the inside line, an unfavorable line. You come across the outside, you come back to the inside line. Here's the replay of it. Now we'll see him dive over to the right-hand side. Now it is clear and fair for Aaron Brown to take the racing line, but he's early on the brakes, gets the switchback engaged. This allows him to carry more speed through the corner and get the run down. You can see the AMG disappearing in the rear view mirror. Now he's late on the brakes going into the hairpin, and he just solidifies the overtake from there.
How they didn't make contact is beyond me. I don't think you could have fit a piece of paper between those two cars. Nevertheless, anything. I have no idea. Aaron Brown, pixel perfect in his car placement. And that's a driver, again, that must come back to those oval skills where you know exactly how big your car is. Aaron's not so shy of making a little bit of rubbing with someone else's back bumper. And with that, that means that you know exactly where that bumper is going to be. So he's able to use that to his advantage. Cuts around, makes a near, I don't want to say impossible move because I just watched it with my own eyes and I wouldn't believe it otherwise, but my goodness, extremely impressive to make that his 6th position back. Now he just needs to keep it between the mayo and the mustard and not have any off tracks and hand the position back for free, as we have a little more battling in the background here. Sauger, Lewis Holloway, and Morgan Stringer.
Lewis Holloway is up 2 positions right now alongside Morgan Stringer, who is also up 2, driving the 91 Ford Mustang. A driver with 2K iRating has been putting down some laps in the 53 range, 53.5 being their best, 53.8 being the last one around. One thing I was going to be a little concerned with was tire wear and tire fade. I know we're only into a 20-minute race, Mike, so we're going to say time isn't that long, tire wear can't be really a thing, but with the way that the iRacing tire model works, if you overheat the tires, you can potentially lose them, unfortunately. We've seen some drivers have some spins and then come come back into the race as the 93 and the 91 go toe-to-toe at the first corner. Nicky Lauda curve. And now Lewis Holloway mounts an attack again. The Camber and Caster team looks like he wants to mount one on the Ford Mustang, but that Mustang, with its American muscle, looks like it's big and hefty to get out of the way right now. So, tire wear. Because the driver's pushing so hard, tire wear is going to become a thing as the heat picks up just a little bit, lap after lap. As these overtakes happen, the drivers sliding their way through Rent and the Red Bull Mobile. When do you think they're going to start pushing, or do you think they've already pushed and burnt up their tires, Mike?
I think we're seeing some drivers really starting to push. Lewis Holloway here clearly getting impatient. Morgan Stringer, I can't tell if he's already driven the rubber off his tires or if he is still kind of in that saving window. The way that he's getting postured on, though, by the McLaren makes me think that the McLaren's just done a better job of saving their tires than Lewis Holloway. Going to try to take advantage of that. We'll see how that plays out with other cars. We talked about the Ford, and when it comes to qualifying, not the best result. Max Bowman, though, has had nothing but a positive result. He's gained 1 position so far, and up right on the back now of Andrew Herschel. So more opportunities here in the future. And we also see, of course, the battle behind with the other McLaren involved, Jesse Laverin now. So both Camber and Caster McLarens getting into the thick of it, maybe the McLaren being good on tire saving.
It is looking like a good possibility right now. It is the McLaren that has a very interesting aero package that allows it to carry speed through those mid-speed corners, and this is very much a mid-speed track. Not a lot of heavy braking zones with the exception of turn 1 and going into the hairpin right before Worth, but it's just a little bit interesting here or there. The driver's selection of cars, the driver's selection of what they want to do, and when they're capable of pushing. Here's Bronson Turner going wheel to wheel with Workman right now, and this is going to be a run down in towards Rint, and Bronson Turner has the advantage over Workman for now.
Yeah, I like the for now that you put in, because that really looks like Winnie does not want to give this up. He tried to get his nose right back into the action. Speaking of drivers getting the nose in the action, Eric Halsband and Norberto Alvarez. They've been sort of chilling for the past few laps, really not making any moves back and forth. Now it looks like Eric getting a bit more impatient. This, I am struggling to make any sense of the situation, as we have cars all in a bit of a line, and I sense every single one of them wants to make up ground, and they're pushing like a bat out of hell, it seems. My goodness.
Well, this is the battle from P7 all the way up to P4, is it not? So plenty of points available, or plenty of representative points available, as this is the battle from 5 through 8, excuse me. But I mean, it's just a good opportunity to showcase your skills even, and more importantly, to have a good, fun race with a couple of countrymen that are just wanting to do the same thing as you. Race hard and have a great, clean race.
One thing, speaking of drivers maybe not having the most fun, but also having the most fun, this is one of those kind of situations that you don't like to be in, but also want to be in simultaneously. Jordan Johnson is a 7.3 second lead on the rest of the field. I don't feel like we've given him any screen time at all. There is the man at the top, and I'm sure, of course, his girlfriend is going to be watching back at home, and so would appreciate a little bit of screen time. But here we go, though, Sauger. This is something we have not discussed yet. The potential of back markers. Look at how cautious Jordan is being approaching them. The blue flag is going to be waving. This is not like Formula One, where you have to get out of the way within the first 2 marshal posts. It's more a cautionary tale, and Jordan making very uncautious moves through the very difficult corners. Thankfully, everybody playing ball so far, but this is where things can start to get dangerous. Now, Roman Lee is going to join that, but it's going to take a while before he gets there.
Short lap means a lot of traffic will tend to typically brew up. Long laps, less likely to see traffic, but especially when we're talking about a quick 52-second lap set by Jordan Johnson we're gonna be bound to run in some drivers that have made mistakes earlier on, or just some drivers that have slower pace. It just happens that quickly. Now we're looking at Max Bowman in that 89. The battle for 7th and 8th still rages on here in that Banana Bow AMG driven by Herschel in the 51 leads the pack for now.
And going to be trying to capitalize at any time we can. We're running out of laps right now. We're running out of time. Bowman is going to be feeling the pressure, the weight of the world like the mythical Titan Atlas once had. How do you cope with it? Aaron Brown also not out of the woods really. 1 second though ahead. White flag is out on this lap, so Jordan Johnson is going to be coming home after 1 minute. This is the last opportunity for the drivers to get anything done. Eric Halsband knows that. He sees it waving and now is thinking, where do I strike? Like a lion on the hunt in the Serengeti. It's difficult. You have to pick your moments, and it might even just be worth it. We have a second race after this, folks, by the way. Don't go anywhere, as of course there is a second 20-minute race. The results are going to be the same as this, so whatever you finish in this race, that's going to be your result for the second. Is it worth going for that extra 1 position? Oh, well, Eric Halsband certainly seems to think so. Gets his nose firmly lined up against Alvarez. Alvarez, though, muscles him by. This is what Sauger was mentioning earlier. The GT4s, they're able to bump and bang a little bit. Jordan Johnson hasn't had to worry about any of that, though, because he is the first to cross the line. The checkered flag going to be greeting him as he does on this lap. Roman Lee finishing in second, 8 seconds behind, and finishing off a solid drive. Now, behind that, it is going to be Alvarez and Eric Halsband with a black flag. So that is going to play an interesting role. I'm curious what that was, if it was track limits around the final corner, and what that's going to cost a few seconds, I would imagine. Aaron Brown, 11 in the background. Andrew Herschel in 6th. Max Bowman in 7th. Jesse Laverin taking home 8th, just behind Bowman. Turner 9th, and Winnie Workman rounding out your top 10. Sauger, what a battle.
Absolutely phenomenal. That lean from Brown onto Halsband on that final lap, it really wasn't a touch. He was full on leaning on him like he needed emotional support. He was looking for that love and tender care, and it looked like Halsband was just not giving it to him. It was just an absolute dash to the finish. Great race for heat number 1, but heat number 2 coming up in just a few moments after the warm-up period. I am super excited to see what the drivers can perform for us.
Yeah, we'll have your results up here in a moment, but before that, of course, we'll see how this is going to play out with race 2. We have, of course, the elephant in the room, in my opinion, for Roman Lee. He didn't get taken out. He managed to start in second, finish in second. So he's got a very good prospect here of putting it to Jordan Johnson. Now, the thing is Jordan showing his pace here early. And if you are Roman Lee, I mean, how do you answer that? Is it going to take a little bit of luck? Is it going to take a mistake from Jordan? Or alternatively, maybe an aggressive move from Roman early on and just able to park the boat and not really be a real thorn in the side for Jordan?
Yeah, but if you don't get a lot of screen time on the broadcast, it's usually a good thing. Roman Lee avoiding us like the plague this time around, and he had a quiet but deadly race. Coming home in P2 is a great result for him, especially with the results that he had during race 1, heat 1 a couple weeks back. I think he's going to be very pleased with the way things panned out for him tonight for heat number 1, and hopefully his luck continues to persist for heat number 2.
Almost certainly. And you know, while we have a little moment here, we are going to be, of course, just taking a moment to thank all of our sponsors that make these events possible. And of course, starting us off with Regadget. If you're looking for a PC and you are looking for a very affordable one, scan that QR code down in the bottom right of your screen. You can head over to regadget.com and find their website. They are awesome. They offer some incredible deals. And again, if you have a PC laying in the corner that you have no use for, send it over to them. They'll pay for shipping, and they're going to refurbish it and turn it into something better, and then also provide opportunities for lesser families, lesser schools, again, and giving the opportunity of technology to those that don't have it. So if that's something that interests you, their mission statement is amazing, and the guys over there are awesome as well. Scan that QR code, check it out, and go and get yourself some new equipment, especially, of course, with the RAM prices currently. You can find yourself with some very, very solid deals. We also have, of course, all of our title sponsors. We're over on Roku as well, and our partner at Esports Edge, eClutch as well over in the MENA region. And we thank each and every one of you for joining us. Let's talk results, Sagar. This is after race 1. One more race to go. Jordan Johnson topping the time charts by 8 seconds over Roman Lee. Roberto Alvarez Jr. coming home in 3rd, with Aaron Brown in 4th, Andrew Herschel in 5th, Jesse Laverin in 6th, Bronson Turner 7th, Winnie Workman in 8th, 9th for Morgan Stringer, and Gerson Herrera rounding out your top 10.
Jason Jones will bring home 11th, with Edward Sanchez in 12th, Brian Troyer in 13th, Lewis Holloway in 14th, Lee Winters in 15th, with Eric Hausband in 16th, Max Bowman in 17th, Bryce Jellison in 18th, Alan Carter in 19th, and Sergio Orestes in 20th.
Wow. So Eric Hausband with that black flag at the very end. On top of that, Max Bowman also had a black flag at the very end. Drops him all the way down pretty much into, I don't want to say the non-competitive positions, but my goodness, certainly making them have a lot more work for this race, it is going to be said. Andrew Herschel has got a long ways to go, so does Bowman. Now, they've had great drives. We've seen the overtakes, especially, let's talk for a minute about Aaron Brown, somebody who didn't have the best qualifying, started in 10th, managed to finish in 5th position, despite the, well, I guess even higher up now. In fact, again, looking at that results screen, managing to finish in, what, 4th now? Despite with the penalty. So really climbing his way through the field, a solid effort, and I don't want to say lucking into an extra position, but really just being there when it mattered.
Absolutely true. Being there when it matters has to be paramount. And just Aaron Brown presented with opportunity after opportunity, capitalized them when they presented themselves, and didn't take as much risk as I think some of the other drivers did. He obviously wasn't caught out in any big incidences or any big mistakes. I think just when the opportunities and the overtakes were available that were high percentage moves, he went ahead and took them at the earliest convenience possible.
Yeah, but then on top of that, of course, he had that slowdown penalty where he ended up getting re-overtaken and then had to go and make the overtake again with one of the most impressive overtakes of this entire event, I would go as far as saying. So Aaron really proving his worth out there today and doing an incredible job. Again, somebody who's traditionally an oval driver, this going back to the mission statement of Team America, this is exactly what we're looking for, drivers that are willing to go out there, push their skills into different categories, different cars, manufacturers, and show that they have the talent regardless of what car you put them in, regardless of what layout. Yeah, okay, it's easier to overtake on the regular Red Bull Ring. Guess what? Doesn't matter. You make it work no matter what because you have no choice. You have your deck of cards and you just have to play it as it is. And Aaron playing his cards extremely well tonight. Again, hats off to him for that. And I think, again, Roman Lee with another kind of sleeper drive where we didn't have to mention him because, of course, he just was solid throughout the entirety of it. These are the drivers that we look for when it comes to our segue into wink wink, our init team. You see what I did there as well. So drivers like that would be a very great competitor on our init team. We have a both male and female roster. Could you tell it was a segue? No. But yes, get involved. We have our init team here. QR code on screen. This is where we're looking for all of the best drivers to get involved with our 12-hour races, 24-hour races eventually, and finding all sorts of different talent to get on the init team and eventually feed into the dream team as well. That's our all-women's competitive team that we have. And if that's something that interests you, sign up. The QR code is on your screen. You can also head on over to initesports.gg. That's INIT esports.gg/carsim. On top of that, this is some big news that we have as well. We're branching out into some new categories. Our Init Esports Track Mania event/team is also going to be out soon. Well, it's out now. You can go and sign up for it here on our website, and on top of that, you can head over to Trackmania and find our lobbies. You can get involved, get into the time trials, and get out on track with some other drivers in a less simmy game in this case, and getting kind of lay your hair back and have some fun with Trackmania. It's been a great time all the way around. Trackmania, very, very old game. I almost said sim. Look at me, I'm corrupted by this at this point, Sagar. But no, a very, very old game, but is still very beloved. And recently, with the new updates, new seasons, we have also gotten involved and have a team for that. So if that's something that interests you, again, esports.gg for more information, or you can just look us up over on the Trackmania platform. Now, though, Sagar, let's talk about next race. What are we thinking here? Again, I briefly mentioned Roman Lee. How does Roman, if I'm in his situation, I'm going to be thinking, how can I best Jordan Johnson? What can I do to get ahead of him, get that little extra mile out? And also, I'm going to be worried about Norberto Alvarez Jr., at least at the start here, of course, because you can't be making moves too early and then fall into a backwards trend like he did in race or in event 1.
A double-edged sword here. You want to be on the attack of Jordan Johnson early on, because if you let him go, he's going to break away with a gap early on and quick. He just substantially has that pace and consistency time and time again. But if you throw him a wrench and you have to force him to battle, sometimes you can break out a couple of mistakes here or there. So you want to be on the attack, but also you need to defend from behind. Norberto Alvarez Jr. right now, driving that 99 BMW, also wants to advance his way forward as well. Looking at turn 1, I think you can force a mistake from Jordan Johnson, maybe potentially force him to go defensive. Carry that speed through turn 2, then look at turn 3, and then maybe get an overtake. We saw that beautifully executed before, and I think that is a textbook example of how to make overtakes again. One of the things I want to look out for as well is Aaron Brown. Now that he's kind of got some clean air around him and he can get some clean air really and showcase his pace up at the front of the pack, what is he capable of doing? Is he going to be a front runner as well? Question marks all around, Mike.
That's a great point. Honestly, I haven't even considered that, which is crazy. No, Aaron Brown is a complete variable that we have no idea what he's going to manage here. He didn't have the best qualifying, and he's going to be right alongside Alvarez Jr., and that is going to be, I think, beneficial for Roman Lee on top of that. We also have Jesse Laverin down in 6th position. He's going to be in the Camber and Castor team. Now, one thing about the Camber and Castor, first off, if you're down in the San Diego area, highly recommend checking them out. They're just north of San Diego proper, have an amazing facility, and also do some very casual events. And on top of that, we have multiple other drivers, not just joining us here tonight, but also they join us in our Screen to Speed races. We have an all-women's race, and that is going to be, of course, available coming up now on this month, the 15th. The BMW M2s are going to be battling it out at Okayama, and you can join yourself if you're interested. This again being our all women's series, and this is across the entirety of the world, so this is not specific to America. You can get involved, you can scan that QR code, sign up, and get into the track. You can battle alongside the likes of Jess Wesser, Katie Gleiser, and it's a very, very competitive field right now. Sophie managing to take the victory in our previous Screen to Speed, but it was extremely close with Jess. The points down to the wire. We also have some very, very big names joining us as always. Sarah Dove, Lucia Tosi, and some very big names new that are going to be joining us as well, both in the sim racing sphere and in the real life racing sphere. So we'll see how that ends up in this next one. It's going to be very exciting in BMW M2's Okayama, a classic car track combo and a very slippery one at that. So make sure you get the practice in. That'll be the 15th of this month. And Sagar, these drivers, they've had the practice, they've had the time, and it's about ready to get out onto track. We should soon see the gridding begin for race 2. And the anticipation being built here. This is where the nerves are going to be back at their all-time high. The drivers have had the opportunity to cool down a little bit, but once you get out there, you get that rhythm going, you get comfortable, and now you got to do it all again. Every single bit of gap that you built, all that momentum is going to be all thrown away, and now we can see the field grouped up and just about ready to go.
We're here back at the Red Bull Ring National Layout in Spielberg, Australia. A short, high-intensity 1.9-mile circuit where elevation and heavy braking zones define the action. Let's get ready to rumble, Mike.
Jordan Johnson going to be our de facto safety car coming around the final corner. Is he going to wait to get on the hammer, or is he going to get going early here? Let's find out. It's 2x2 Noah's Ark formation at the start, and immediately Jordan Johnson goes green, 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 and takes the lead. Roman Lee under threat from Alvarez, though, down to the inside. Can he manage to make it stick? Alvarez gonna muscle his way by. This is gonna force Lee to the outside and potentially open a door for Aaron Brown. 3 wide heading into turn 2. What could possibly go wrong? The answer is absolutely nothing. Aaron Brown with a 2-for-1 special and contact in the next corner. Roman Lee takes out Alvarez, and he's gonna plummet down the order. Roman Lee loses that position though, as again, and now Jesse Laverin getting involved. Chaos on the first lap. That's almost certainly going to be reviewed by the stewards after this race.
I apologize profusely for my scream, but I saw that incident unfolding in the background and could not help myself. I was just floored from Roman Lee. It was just a tiny bit of overlap from Norberto Alvarez Jr. It was looking so good going into the hairpin, and then just it all unfolded wrong. Here's the 3 wide on entry into the hairpin. Alberto has the inside line. Now it'll be the outside line, and just the slightest drift from Roman Lee caused that contact, and I feel so gutted for Norberto Alvarez Jr. right now.
I honestly don't envy the stewards' work after this race. Oh goodness, Edward Sanchez not having a good day at all now. He's found himself back in the gravel trap. Oh my goodness, Jesse Laverin has found himself spinning around, and so has Carter. No, that's Herrera, who's ended up the wrong way. It seems like somebody had an oil slick down on the circuit. There are cars spinning everywhere we look. The aggression level here in race 2 has gone up astronomically, and on cue, this is Workman getting pressured here by the Ford Mustang of Stringer, and we see Stringer make it through with ease. In the background now, Lewis Holloway in the Camber and Caster machine with the lone Camber and Caster McLaren that's survived so far. Jesse Laverin back down to 18th.
Mike, I know I said we were in Spielberg, Australia, but it's starting to feel like we're in Milan because there's a lot of ice on the track right now. Unfortunately for a few drivers, they're spinning it around right now. It's just super unfortunate for them. Now, who is that? Max Bowman in the 89 car in 14th position, getting passed up, but he's trying to defend from Alvarez behind.
Also, we just saw Aaron Brown. We didn't quite see, but I just noticed on the timing charts, Aaron Brown just got overtaken back by Roman Lee. Here's the replay, though. That Ford Mustang having a big wiggle, sends him into the gravel, and is going to rejoin and bring a whole heap of rubble back on the circuit with him. The driver's going to be very upset. We rejoin immediately. Aaron Brown, I mentioned, got overtaken by Roman Lee. Aaron, not really one to stick around and take that with, take it laying down. He's going to go and fight back immediately. Not quite going to be able to get the job done, though, but still on the aggression side by side for Lee Winters. Everywhere we look, Sauger, there is something happening. This little layout of the Red Bull Ring here in the, as you would say, Australian Alps. Sorry, Sauger, got to call you out for that. But no, here in Austria, and spinning again is one of the Camber Caster cars, and that is going to be Orestes, unfortunately, to the outside, and he finds himself planted on the Austrian flag.
You mean Australian flag. Thank you very much.
The Australian flag, yes.
I'll throw myself under the bus for that one as well. Thank you very much. Max Bowman here in this epic battle right in front. We're going to go 3 wide again into the hairpin. The 99 holds on to the inside line, trying to carry the speed through, and it manages to do so. Here's the onboard from Max Bowman looking at the 99 out in front. That 99 is piloted by Norberto Alvarez Jr. in 12th position right now. Now the rear wing of Bryce Jellison, and now the inside attack from Alvarez looks like it's promising and gets by the Kachow looking mobile of the Porsche.
Bryce Jellison had a struggle in the previous Team America event, but now he's looking great. 6 positions gained for the number 7. Can he make it a 7th by the end here? Alvarez Jr. is going to be quite a handful to take on. This, though, Jesse Laverin getting a little bit close there to the BMW back of Jones, but he gets the job done on Brian Toyer. You can see that WD-40 livery. You can tell he is thoroughly lubricated and ready to go on through if he makes any contact. Unfortunately for him, he didn't make contact earlier. I don't think it was a self-inflicted spin. Maybe got a little bit of that on his tires that caused a lack of traction, to put it lightly. Aaron Brown, not losing traction whatsoever. We also here have a replay, by the way, of Eric Hausman. So this is an update on what's happened to him. Lewis Holloway being the other camber and caster car, and this might just be impatience from Eric Hausman. He gets to the inside, nicely done. Comes back around, and unfortunately, you cannot blame Lewis for that. You can't blame Eric for that whatsoever. It's a tough one. That's sort of a pinch point on the circuit, and that's the second time that we've seen that incident. Pretty much a carbon copy repeat of what put them down in those positions earlier for Sanchez. So I'm not sure how to rule that one, but again, I'm not a steward here, so that's probably a good thing for me.
Max Bowman there gets to the inside line for the hairpin now through Worth. It'll be pretty tight between the two drivers, but Max Bowman can't find the gap there to keep it consistent against his fellow Mustang driver. Unfortunate there, and unfortunate for Aaron Brown as he tumbles down the order, seemingly having a slowdown penalty.
Yeah, you absolutely hate to see that. Not what you want to have, but something that's so easy to get here at the shorter version, and even the longer version of Red Bull Ring. The track limits are brutal. To the outside goes Bryce Jellison. This is going to be a hard-pressed effort to make work, and, well, it doesn't. That's going to open up the door, though, to Jesse Laverin as he finds the inside for the next corner. It's an ambitious overtake, but with enough pressure, anything's possible. He gets the racing line and takes it right away from Jellison. Very nice move from the camber and caster machine as Max Bowman decides to tank off into the gravel, and Brian Troyer has found his way around, unfortunately.
Gutting circumstances. No. And then what has happened to Aaron Brown? Have they reached the incident limit as well? Not that I can tell, but unfortunately a trip down pit lane for Aaron Brown will probably conclude their event for the evening. Side by side with Bryce Jellison and Max Bowman now, and the Porsche nearly runs into the back of Max Bowman in that number 89 Ford. Side by side up ahead between the 73 and the camber and caster machine, and the Ford Mustang snakes its way through as well, but we'll have the outside line for Worth now, and will carry itself over the kitty litter, and the momentum is there from the American muscle.
Now is what I would say. I see a bunch of yellow flags popping up as well for Johnson and Lee. Lee getting a slowdown penalty. It looks like I saw one for Johnson as well. He's only 5 seconds ahead for right now, but still pulling that gap. Bronson turning up 4 positions, by the way, to get into third. A lot of that due to the chaos that happened earlier on, but he's making the best of it regardless. Aaron Brown has unfortunately retired in this one, and you absolutely hate to see it. Such a stellar drive from Aaron up to that point, and I'm not even sure what caused him to enter the pit lane. As you said, the incident count not quite there. I'm wondering if he got bumped into the pit lane, if maybe some contact that wasn't. I'm not sure. He drove straight into pit lane, so maybe just running out of time or something like that. I don't know. Either way, it's a gutting way to end this one because Aaron Brown was on for one of the best drives we've seen. A very Roman Lee-esque drive, I would go as far as saying.
Yeah, and especially on a recovery drive after that first heat, he was on for a good result for this one. Unfortunately, just things don't go your way all the time in motorsports, and anything can and will happen typically, such as this right now. We're seeing Bryce Jellison and Sergio Orestes battle it out, and the McLaren almost had the overspeed coming through the Red Bull Mobile and went for a move, but not quite there. And now single file line coming down through turn 1, the Niki Lauda curve, and then the next one will be the hairpin. A look to the inside line from the McLaren, hard and heavy on the brakes, and the Porsche just seemingly standing still.
Yeah, very much so. And was that a mistake? Was that intentional? I'm not fully sure, but a little bit of latency also coming in there, hopefully not playing too much of a role. Eric Halsband, by the way, he's made his way through the field 8 positions despite the penalty that he had in the previous race that dropped him down the order and the little bit of issues that he had earlier on. Now, though, 4 seconds actually to Lewis Holloway, 6 seconds to Winnie Workman. But if he can make that happen here, a top 5 is not out of the cards. We're only halfway through this race, and he's already carved his way through half of the field.
That's a pretty good run of things for Eric Halsband in that 2.55, especially taking that penalty on the chin. Right now, here's Bowman right now in front and center, getting by Jones there in the BMW number 73. Jason Jones down 2 positions, unfortunately, from where he started. And Max Bowman is up 5 and continuing to charge up the field.
This is very interesting. Keep in mind, folks, this is the second race of Team America, and we've had GT3s for race 1, and we've had GT4s for race 2. We sort of have an idea on how the field is going to stack up due to the professions, due to what we know from drivers. However, as we get ready to head to the next Team America Talent Scout event, that's going to be the FIA F4s at Spa-Francorchamps. You really can't have a much different car track combo to what we've had so far. So seeing a completely different form of manufacture, it's a formula car. You can also go there and see that. Take a look in the bottom right. You can scan the QR code to find a link to our website, innedesports.gg/carsim. That's where you can find it and sign up for the next upcoming events. On top of that, of course, our screen-to-speed signups, our Init team, also available to be found over on our website. You don't want to miss out, and join the Discord while you're at it. We got some friendly nights, Wednesday Double Dash or midweek Double Dash that we have every single week with different car tracks and practicing for some races as well. We practiced for this one just the previous week, and you can get involved with that again over at inesports.gg. Now, though, back to the action. 12 minutes down, 8 minutes left, Sauger. We're in the closing sectors of this race, and this is when you have to get the hammer down. But you talked about this in the previous race. Tire wear. How much of a factor is that going to play? Is that going to allow the Mustangs to seemingly fall off a little more than they have in the McLaren, which we know has been very solid on tire wear, not to mention the fact you have a teammate working with you in the background?
I think that will be a big help. Having a teammate to help you get around another car is huge. Helping you with having a drafting partner and also a push partner as well. I was watching a race earlier today. It was Daytona 300. So there was a lot of pushing. There was a lot of pushing to pass out here. And this is akin to that. This is really a glorified oval, running around 54 seconds or 52-second laps as we see the side-by-side between Lee Winters and Max Bowman again unfold. The number 14 of Lee Winters falls in single file line behind Bowman. Bowman on the attack to Carter up ahead, looks to the inside line for the hairpin, finds the gap, and the security is there. The 89 gets on the loud pedal and can drift a little bit wide, but leaves the gap there for Carter just in case. And now he closes the door back down, and Max Bowman finds himself a healthy half-second gap.
Yeah, we got Lee Winters in the background trying to contend with the Great Wall of Mustangs ahead of him. That is a insurmountable fort, is what I've heard. Wide enough to cover any circuit on any part of the globe. The Ford Mustangs, they are extremely wide. Not wide enough, though, as it looks like we're going to see a move from the Aston Martin down to the inside. This is Lee Winters making a move onto Carter. It's the favorable line, but look at the brakes on the Ford Mustang GT3. Absolutely incredible. In the background, you blink and you miss it. Jesse Laverin making moves onto the BMW. This is going to get choked up a little bit, the bottlenecking effect. And look at the Aston Martin almost helping Jesse Laverin, or Lee, no, it's Jones? Carter. So I can't tell who I'm even looking at. Every car getting jumbled up in this. It is Jesse Laverin. I was correct. He does get the job done. And that was a little bit of an uncharacteristic one. Immediately coming back is going to be Jones, though. Not able to get alongside. In fact, this is going to be Orestes that's potentially going to make his way by. Can he cut it to the inside for the final corner? Yes, he can. This is going to set him up wonderfully. Now to the inside, it looks like the BMW seemingly losing 2 positions in 2 laps. And before we even get to the braking zone, he does. Cuts back, though. The McLaren gives it up too easy, but no, he certainly does not. Late on the brakes, and Orestes manages to claim the position over Jones as well.
That was definitely synchronized teamwork from Jesse Laverin and Sergio Orestes, the 83 and the 86, working together to get around Jason Jones without impeding each other's race. Perfectly executed blocking maneuvers there. Maybe not blocking, but passing and protecting moves to allow those defensive lines. Absolutely phenomenal. And there we see Laverin go back down the field into 16th position. Oh no, for the 83, what has happened to him?
See another yellow flag for Aaron Carter, so I'm wondering if those 2 incidents are related. Also, Jones potentially picking up a penalty. Here is the Aston Martin, though, of Lee Winters that is ahead of us, moving to the inside. And to be honest, it's just a gap that wasn't there. It was there, and then, well, it wasn't, unfortunately. And Jesse Laverin gets bit by the snake, or should I say he gets the horns from the bull, as we see as we cross through the big bronze bull here at the Red Bull Ring. He drops back down to 16th, a race that could have been for Jesse.
That's very true. He started up in 6th place, now running in 16th place. Just a couple of mistakes here or there cost him heaps of time. Definitely a race of what could have been. Here's Hausband chasing down Holloway and Workman. It looks like Holloway and Workman have been separated by about nothing this entire race. The number 15 driver chasing down that number 91 out in front of Morgan Stringer, and they're only separated by about half a second. And this is going to be an epic showdown going into the final 3 minutes of this event.
Yeah, the dying embers are here, but the embers are hot. The coals are stoked, and the fire is blazing right now. Winnie Workman, who was actually 2 seconds behind Lewis Holloway was 2 seconds behind at one point, gained up. Winnie Workman was 2 seconds as well, so this pack is closed up. And there, Lee Winters, we see, making moves onto the onto the Orestes in the McLaren. Switchback, though, for the McLaren, and that looks like he should be able to hold the position. I see a couple of track cuts as well. Carter might get involved with this now. He has a slowdown. He has to lift off. That's going to potentially give the opportunity to Orestes and or Winters to make a move. He gets it, though, without any issue, and this allows this pack to continue battling. And unfortunately, no, Brian Toyer with a meatball flag, and it looks like an unforced one. I feel like this is a move that I've seen before. Oh, never mind.
Bonk.
Just rippling understeer straight into the wall. That is not what I expected to see. The AMG not doing any favors to Brian, unfortunately. We also saw Andrew Herschel. He's managed to gain 1 position this entire race. He is not a doorman and has not left the door open. Sorry, I was paid to say that. I wasn't paid to say that. I just had to say it. Alan Carter there is going to also get overtaken by Orestes. So we're seeing some moves being made back for this Camber and Caster car, and love to see it as well. The Mustang, though, coming into the braking zone a little bit hot, forces the McLaren almost wide. No contact is made, and no positions have been changed.
That car from Alan Carter looks like he wants to pounce quickly, but that one quick look challenges his charge, and now Winters in the vantage behind could have the advantage over the Ford Mustang out in front. The 17 all white livery is looking good, but still under attack from behind. Here's the Workman Holloway Stringer battle side by side, and Workman gets sideways, and he's gonna tumble down the order into 9th place, unfortunately, with that slide.
Was there contact? Was that a slide? I'm not sure. It was very, very close, but the results are the same, and that's going to be a position gained for Lewis Holloway, Eric Halsband, and Alvarez. Free as it goes. Lewis and Eric will take that with both arms wide open. Here's that move. So let's watch this again here as we get to the inside of the corner. There is contact, absolutely. And now did the Porsche turn in? Maybe. Be honest, I'm not sure. It looked slightly self-inflicted. But we'll find out. We're down to the white flag, though. Jordan Johnson's going to be taking it home on this lap. And look at the pressure. Andrew Herschel and Bronson Turner pushing each other so hard. They're both driving halfway across Austria, almost into Germany at this point.
They're both off the track trying to make things happen at turn one. But here comes Jordan Johnson through the final corner for the final time, takes the checkered flag, and that'll be double trouble for him, and he'll be drinking some champagne tonight.
He certainly will. Your winner of the Team America Talent Scout event, Race 2, Jordan Johnson. A clean sweep for him. Both victories in a timely manner as well. 12 seconds ahead of Roman Lee on this occasion. Roman in second position, but a controversial one. We'll see what the stewards have after this race as Bronson Turner finishes in third. Andrew Herschel comes home in fourth with Morgan Strigger behind in fifth. 8 positions gained for Lewis Holloway in this race. A brilliant finish for the McLaren, and the Camber and Caster team can be very happy with their choice of driver. Battling to the line, though, for Lee Winters and Jordan Jones, as it looks like it's gonna be Jones ahead. No, Winters, excuse me. Looks like they're gonna be the one to not take it. Jones is going to be the one to do it in that final corner. Battles down to the last corner of the last lap, Sauger, for the Team America Talent Scout event. What an eventful one. The racing was surprisingly different to what I expected. I expected a lot of slipstream fighting, but in reality, this is a bit of a knife fight in a phone booth for everybody.
It kind of was, Mike, a little bit of just elbows out racing and barging your way through, to say the least, because the slipstream wasn't quite as powerful as I expected to be. That was note number one. That was surprising me. I thought we'd get a lot of trouble coming down through Rent and the Red Bull Mobile down into Niki Lauda curve, but it just didn't seem the case. Potentially that dirty air hurt the drivers more than it helped them at the end of the day, but we still had some great racing with some great improvements. Bronson Turner up 4 positions tonight. Lewis Holloway up 8. Eric Halsband up 9 positions. Phenomenal run from some of these front runners to put on a great show for us here tonight.
Yeah, as always in the Team America Talent Scout event, the drivers have been the star of the show each time, which, yes, shocker, that's kind of their whole job, but it's really been an exciting championship. And again, if you would like to get involved with this yourself, you can head on over to our website, initesports.gg/carsim. That is where you can find the link and go over to our website. Sign up, get involved with the Team America Talent Scout event, because again, this is going to be the building for the international roster to compete in any international competition requiring the Nation Cup. So there's going to be all the online tournaments, there's going to be LAN tournaments, all sorts of different opportunities here at the Team America, and it will be through Init Esports, of course. Again, link being initesports.gg/carsim. You can also join our Discord over there and find many opportunities with just community races and just getting together for a community and gathering for some fun. That's one thing we like to do here. We got our new and announced as well Trackmania team that we're going to have, and Trackmania series. You can find that. That's launched now and available to be taken part in. And of course, on top of that, we also have our Init team. That is going to be a roster of drivers separate from Team America, might I add, that is going to be for all the different iRacing competitions that we will have throughout this year. Now, though, one more moment to mention all of our sponsors that take part and make these events possible. Regadget starting us off. as of course they are not just a place to send a computer and get it thrown to the trash. No, they are going to revamp the computer. They are going to go through and they are going to turn it into something great. And on top of that, provide it to somebody who maybe isn't going to be able to have a PC. For example, in schools, for example, through Boy Scout programs, Girl Scout programs, and various other ways to get computers. Libraries, for example, they provide for as well. And if you have any spare computers laying around, you can send them off to you. They will cover the shipping. And also, they offer some amazing deals. They have gaming PCs that you can get from their website for extremely affordable prices. Head on over to their website or scan the QR code on your screen to check them out. They are awesome. On top of that, we are live on TV again. Massive thank you to Roku as well as our partners over at Esports Edge. And on top of that, of course, eClutch, which is going to be live over in the MENA region. So a massive shout out to all of our partners that take part, and of course, AK Esports UK as well, for putting on this production with Tom Bryant behind the cams. Now, Sauger, we're going to be getting into some interviews here very, very shortly, so don't go anywhere, folks. But let's dissect this one a little bit more, and there's a lot to dissect. Obviously, the drama with Roman Lee. How is that going to play out heading into it? And not to mention the fact Eric Halsband having his drama and gaining 9 positions, a stellar drive from him. But there is a lot to talk about and break down after this one.
There sure is. I mean, but first and foremost, we have to talk about Jordan Johnson. He delivered a showstopper of a performance tonight. That fast lap of a 52.5 being pretty phenomenal and just untouchable out there. He put down a phenomenal performance that was pitch perfect from the word go. So can you really take anything away from him? I don't think so.
No, you certainly can't. And here are your results, by the way, and this is going to be your results from the second race, not the overall results. So this is Jordan Johnson taking the victory in both races, so he will be taking the overall victory as well. Roman Lee finishing second in both races. However, again, that will be a provisional second place, as the stewards will have to investigate that and find their conclusion. Bronson Turner also finishing in third here for race 2. A great finish. 4 positions gained for him. He finished in 7th in the previous one and managing to bring home a whole haul of points for race 2. Andrew Herschel in 4th, despite starting in 5th. He managed to gain 1 position and get to the back of get to the back of Bronson, but couldn't quite get the job done. Morgan Stringer in 5th, Lewis Holloway in 6th, Eric Halsband, a race of what could have been as well for him, in 7th, Norberto Alvarez Jr. in 8th, and Max Bowman 9th, Sergio Orestes rounding out your top 10.
Jason Jones brought it home in 11th, with Lee Winters to follow that up in 12th. Winnie Workman took a penalty in the last stage of the race and will finish in 13th. Alan Carter in 14th. Jesse Laverin with a result of 15th after the ebb and flow didn't go his way. Bryce Jellison in 16th. Gerson Herrera in 17th. And Brian Troyer in 18th.
19th belonging to Aaron Brown with a DNF, as well as Edward Sanchez also with a DNF. And Aaron Brown, another one of those talking points that we can have when it comes to dramatic storylines, had such an incredible race 1, but as we got into race 2, managed to gain ground, make more positions, make more overtakes, a more incredible storyline, and then seemingly just drove into the pit lane. And unfortunately, we still don't know exactly what the cause for that one was, so we'll have to be getting we'll have to find out soon. I'm very, very curious what that's going to be and what exactly caused it, because I really thought this was going to be a result for Aaron that he could come home with when it comes to a road track series and have a smile about. I mean, that was something incredible that he managed to put on with some very talented drivers around him, and what could have been, like I say.
And we'll
now
be bringing in...
Here, oh, yes, we're sorry. We do have our P3 driver, Andrew Herschel, that we're going to be hearing from as well. So let's get a little bit of insight from Andrew, as he had a bit more battling than I think the other two up at the top. Now, Andrew, first thing that is to be said, you don't work at a hotel. You didn't leave the door open. You managed to bring it home all the way to the end. And nicely done on race 2, gaining 1 position as well. Why don't you talk us through that?
Oh, I have push to talk. There we go.
Awesome.
I gotta start with the first race. No, I did not leave the door open. I did not work at a hotel. It was really, really tough. I'm forgetting the name right now of who that Mustang driver was, but he definitely gave me a run for my money. That second race though was a tough one. I don't remember exactly how, but I had a 1.4 second gap, and I locked in, and I started slowly inching off. I was just watching the relative go down, and then I made that mistake in the final lap in turn 1. But we both survived it. We both got the slowdown, so we both had the same problem happen.
Close and managed to get away with it, yes indeed. But throughout the entirety of that race, it was Max Bowman, I think, that you were having a battle with in race 1. He unfortunately had a black flag at the very end that cost him to lose, I think, start at the back of the grid, which you absolutely hate to see. That would have been a very, very fun rivalry moving forward with you two battling. But as we come to the end here of the GT series, sort of as I'm going to call it, the GT3s and the GT4s, we get ready to head over to F4s at Spa. And I've already heard it's going to be a little bit of a slipstream fest. How do you expect heading into it?
So I don't do a lot of open wheel, to be completely transparent. F4 is the only paid open wheel that I own, but I have done quite a bit of it in another league. I'm in the Detroit region SCCA, so we've done it quite a bit in that region. And I am a big fan of Spa. I think most of us are. So I'm pretty comfortable going into that track. I don't know how to build a setup whatsoever for an F4. So I hope the iRacing one is pretty decent.
Well, we got 1 month of testing before we get out to that, so plenty of time to prep a setup. Andrew, before we move on here tonight, is there anybody that you would like to thank for your P3?
I'd like to thank, first off, FaZe Competition and Superlap, the team that I drive with. Eric Halsband is also driving with them, and so is Russell Soto, who we haven't seen this season, unfortunately. And then I know my parents are watching tonight, so I want to thank them. I told them about the Roku thing, and they got all excited, so really, really happy to have them watching. And, of course, you guys in Esports and the whole community. I always love racing because it's such a positive and open community, at least in our level.
Love to hear it. And Andrew, of course, being now on TV himself, you can, of course, say hi to your mom if you would like. Hi, Mom, as we
Hi,
all
Mom.
say. There we go. And Andrew, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations. Enjoy the sip of champagne for the final step there, and have a great rest of your evening.
Gatorade for me. No alcohol.
There we go. And that's going to be our
Spill it.
P3 done for the night. We'll be hearing from our, I think, P1 here as well. So I think we're going to be skipping Roman Lee, unfortunately. We will not be hearing from him. I was looking forward to that one. Roman Lee, a World of Racing driver as well. So he does drive over in the real life on the Sims and at various sim centers, and he is from the Kansas City location. So if you are around the Kansas City World of Racing, check them out. They're great. We have coming up next Jordan Johnson, our not just race 1 winner, our not just race 2 winner, but the winner of every single Team America Talent Scout event race thus far. And as you come in, leaning back on your chair casually, I think that's kind of the description of tonight, to be completely honest. I mean, I don't want to say it was an easy one, but the pace was there, and you absolutely crushed the field by the end. 10 seconds or 8 seconds after race 1, 12 after race 2, you clearly came into your pace.
Yeah, it was a solid race. I haven't ran these GT4s much on this new tire model, so it was an interesting experience to kind of get adapted to them. But yeah, just got an idea of what was good, got an eye into the track, and run Red Bull Ring a lot. So just kind of mind my own race, figure out what turn 2 was. Never ran that before, so that was a little bit of a unique challenge. But yeah, pretty straightforward race.
Now, all in all, was there anything that you were worried about coming into? I know you had in the previous races, we had, of course, Kale, as well as a couple other drivers that were putting a little more pressure on you. This one, maybe not so much. So as we go over to the spas at F4, are you maybe a little bit more worried for that?
Yeah, primarily just because of how chaotic it's supposed to be. The F4s don't really have enough power to pull away, and Spa is such a big track with such insanely long straights that it's pretty much Daytona at this point. I'd liken it to a Daytona 500 with the way that we'd be running those. So it'll be interesting. Definitely will be something to look out for. But yeah, I think that's going to be a little bit more down to where you find yourself on the last lap. P2, P3 is probably going to be the best spot rather than leading the pack.
It'll be an interesting one. I'm looking forward to it. We briefly talked about that at PRI and the choice of track, and I'm looking forward to how it plays out to see. And as well as the next race. I mean, we'll talk more about that later, but of course the LMP2s being an interesting one coming up. But Jordan, before we do go for this night, is there of course anybody that you would like to thank for your victory?
Yeah, just my two teams, Solpec, we've been doing pretty well since I jumped on since MZ Esports. We've been doing really, really well throughout the past couple months. So just thanks to the trust that they've put into me and also all the people that have come on board to help out with our efforts. We've been able to put together a couple of really good events. So they've really kind of laid the platform for a really good 2026 to come.
Amazing. Well, hopefully you have a great rest of your 2026 indeed in the next coming month before the Spa Francorchamps F4 race. And we'll see you then, Johnson. For the rest of the night, though, have a good one and enjoy the champagne as making a bit of a habit of it. We'll see if he can get dethroned the next time around. But thank you very much, Jordan. And again, have a great night.
Thank you.
Now, Sagar, we get ready to conclude here. Let's talk briefly before we do wrap this one up. F4s at Spa, again, kind of alluded to by Jordan Johnson. It's going to be a slipstream fest. There's going to be a lot of overtaking. The cars, they're not that powerful, so they can't really pull away. And if they do, you get within that 1 second window, it's going to close back up. I cannot wait to see how it's going to work through Bruxelles, through the mid parts, the piff paths, and I think there's going to be a lot of overtaking chances. I think there's going to be some dramas, some chaos, some slides. How do you think it's going to be?
I think it's going to be fun and chaotic, to say the least. Like Jordan Johnson was just saying, it's going to be akin to the Daytona 500. We're going to see a lot of overtaking. We're going to see a lot of slipstream passes coming down the Kemmel Straight, coming through Blanchimont into the bus stop chicane. It's going to be pretty hectic out there, but I'm absolutely here for it, and I cannot wait for the next Team Talent Scout event.
And as we briefly mentioned, speaking of that, let's take a look at what we have to come in the future when it comes to all of the races here at Init Esports, at least all of the official ones that we have on this calendar. We have, of course, the Team America Talent Scout event coming up. The next Team America race is going to be April 12th, by the way, not April 5th. So that's a little minor correction that we have for that. But that will be over on Tsukuba that will be over at Spa for the F4s in the Team America. We have up next Okayama in the BMW M2s for our all-women series in Screen to Speed. That's going to be an exciting one. The BMW M2 is a slippery beast and a very tricky one at Okayama. It's going to cause for some technical dramas, some potential contact. We'll see. The BMWs, they can take a bit of a bump and bang, so it should be an entertaining one to see the women out on the track on March 15th coming up. That's in a couple weeks. In case you're curious, you can sign up over at initesports.gg/carsim, also screentospeed.com for Screen to Speed. Next, though, as we said, then after that, we go over to the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pase down in Interlagos for the LMP2s. We have Tsukuba with the GR86s as well before that. That's going to be our April and May, and then wrapping it up with VIR with Snetterton and Oran Park, also Olton, Road America to go for the rest. This is half of the year, by the way, so we'll be announcing the second half of the calendar probably in the later months to come here, so we'll keep an eye out, of course, for that as we get down to the end of the Team America calendar and we start to maybe introduce some more ovals, some more alternate styles of racing that aren't your traditional GT3s, GT4s, and so on and so forth. So with that, we also, of course, have our Screen to Speed series, as I mentioned. That's all women's. And of course, if you are interested in that, you can head over to screentospeed.com or scan the QR code that you can see on your screen right now. We also have our Init team that we've just recently started up and announced. And if you are interested in doing that, it's for all of the official iRacing events, your 12 Hours of Sebrings, your Road Americas, your Daytonas, you name it. Those are all American tracks, of course, also your Spas, your so on and so forth. You can join. This is an all around the world roster, not just Americans, and we are looking for both male and female to join, men and women alike, to get involved with our team. You can scan the QR code to join that. Also, Trackmania. Yes, indeed, I said that. Trackmania. That is not sim racing. However, it is close to it. It's a controller-based game or keyboard game, and I think you can drive it with a sim if you are crazy enough. But it is going to be a lot of fun over on the EA platform. So if you are interested, check that out. You can scan the QR code or look us up over on Trackmania for our league and all of the league information. It's going to be time trials with loads of different maps, and it's going to be a load of fun. We also have, of course, all of our sponsors that make these events possible. First off, a massive shout out to AK Esports UK and Tom Bryant for putting on the production, but also a Mr. Gadget that you see on screen. Regadget isn't just a company that, of course, is going to be one to take for granted. Their mission statement is incredible. They're shortening the divide between digital opportunities and haves and have-nots. This gives the opportunity to children to access through various means, be it at libraries, be it at schools, be it at their house. They can provide computers that, yes, can also run simulators. They have gaming PCs. They have all sorts of opportunities and bundles that you can take a look at on their website, and some really, really cool ones as well to boot in the future. So keep an eye on their website. You can scan the QR code on your screen or visit www.regadget.com to find out the information. If you want to send them your PCs, you can also get that sent over for free. They will pay for the shipping, and they will make it the easiest process possible to make sure that A, you either have a PC that you can afford, or B, make sure that somebody can afford a PC elsewhere in the world if you have that opportunity to do so. Also, of course, we thank our partners over on Roku and Esports Edge, as well as eClutch in the MENA region. We are live over there, and we thank you all for watching if you are watching on those platforms. Now, though, Sauger, I've rambled enough at this point. Team America, being, of course, the international roster for America, competing at LAN events. I can't wait to see when we do eventually announce that roster, but we've seen some very, very brutal competition today. We've seen some close racing. Why don't we summarize this here for the rest of the folks?
Man, I mean, why do you want to race in Team America? It's a pathway to national recognition. You get multi-discipline challenge. You get true racing community here within an esports. That's really what Team America Talent Scout is all about. It's finding a good group of people who enjoy the same things, racing and having good sportsmanship and craft racing beneath them. And we keep on seeing that week after week with the Team Talent Scout participants over and over again. Gentlemen drivers, lady drivers, doesn't really matter. From all walks of life, we've been entertained from the first place battles down to the 20th place battles, and we're going to continue to be challenged and impressed throughout 2026, Mike.
Yeah, we absolutely are, Sauger. I cannot wait to see how the storyline develops with these short race formats, with the aggressive style that it leads to, and also the various track layouts that we have to add confusion to what these drivers normally are used to. With that, that's more to come here at Team America and at Init Esports. If you are enjoying this, you can hit that follow button or that subscribe button over on YouTube and check all of our VODs there as well. And of course, thank you so much to all of the partners that we have along that we've announced here tonight. On that note, we are going to be concluding this. I've been Mike Noss, joined alongside me is Sauger Bakshi, Tom Bryant on production. That's going to be it for us. You can also join us for our midweek double dash we have on every single Wednesday. But until then, I hope absolutely everybody has a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. Thank you, and good night.